こんばんは、皆さん。どうもありがとうございます。Super Kami Guru Alucard here. And we are back for our fourth season of live Clow card readings. And in honor of the new season, and just because there's actually been a lot of people who have had questions and whatnot, we will make tonight a special episode in which we will actually do kind of like a double time frame in which we will take the last half an hour of the show to answer questions and basically fill anybody who's interested in the backstory. So we will get right into it with our Clow card readings. If anybody else would like a reading for yourself, all you have to do is comment gender, zodiac sign, and if you would like general future, career, or romance. So we will shuffle these cards. I will do my reading, read a bit of Neville Goddard, answer some questions, discuss some things, and then we will get into story time, where we will talk about how my journey has been so far. Not only as an artist, but also especially leading up to this year and thoughts and feelings regarding certain things. All right. Okay. Oh, great Clow cards of Kodorido, using the power of the sun, the moon, and the stars, reveal to me the message regarding my general future in store for me using the infinite intelligence of universal consciousness. Release. All right, so for the first 5 cards, we have the Rain, followed by the Sakura card, the Sleep, the Fly, and the Change. Okay, so what this indicates to me, the energy I pick up from the combination of these particular cards, is that it is kind of a downpouring season lately, and it does feel that way with many regards via romance or career, and just in general with life. The Sakura is indicating like there is a hero, be your own hero, find your own inner strength, channel your own magical abilities. The Sleep indicates perhaps a lack of sleep, which is true, especially trying to quit smoking and whatnot. I've struggled with insomnia a lot, and sometimes I wonder if quitting all these bad habits is really worth it, because being honest, when I started quitting, it was actually hoping that, things would get better. I know that marijuana is illegal in Japan, so I thought, well, if I quit, I have more of a likeliness to draw in, my ideal type of person. Either Hitomi or somebody equally as good, if not better. Unfortunately, nothing, so it's been really disappointing. It's lost its motivation to keep going, so to speak. And that's probably why I've stumbled back and forth with cigarettes. Now, the Fly indicates movement, rising above, perhaps certain challenges, reaching new heights. The Change indicates, becoming a different version of myself, becoming a different person, not being the same as who I was. So that's the first 5 cards. What other message do you have regarding the general future? Oh, great Clow cards of Kurorido, using the power of the sun, the moon, and the stars, reveal to me what other message you have to clarify the first 5 cards. Release. All right. So the next 5 cards we drew were actually the sand, the windy, the sweet, the loop, and the dark. So this perhaps indicates, like, especially with sand, there's a lot of difficulty in moving forward. The wind indicates that it feels like there's a strong current of like natural order against me in certain regards. Perhaps this is necessary. The sweet indicates that it's best to focus on the good things, the sweet things in life at times like this. And the loop is indicating that I'm constantly repeating a cycle, which may not be the desired ideal. The dark indicates that this could perhaps just be that dark period of everything. Like, you know how they say it's darkest before dawn? That could be what it's trying to tell me in regards to the general future. Next, we will do romance, and then we will do career. Oh, great Clow cards of Kurorido, using the power of the sun, the moon, and the stars. Reveal to me what message you have regarding my romantic situation. Eris. Interesting that these cards came up. Okay, so the first card that came up was the mirror card. The second card was the flower card, followed by the return card, the light card, and the freeze card. Now, the interesting thing about this is because we had also gotten the dark card, the light card, it means that there's a balance, which is very hopeful and optimistic that that card would show up as well. The mirror indicates that everything on the outside is basically a reflection of what's inside. Perhaps some of the negativity I'm seeing is because of the negative feelings that I'm feeling. And that could be associated with withdrawal symptoms, lack of being able to sleep, frustration, and lack of understanding of where to go with certain things. The flower indicates that this is sort of a time of harvest, which it makes sense because the American Thanksgiving would have passed this month. We've now concluded fall. We're moving into winter now, which I could tell from my walk earlier. It's definitely getting chilly out there. The return is indicating that well, it's indicating that like I have to go back and look at certain things from before to realize how I got here from where I was. So, yeah, the flower, the mirror, the flower, the return, the light, and the freeze. Now, the light indicates that there is a light at the end of this tunnel, that it may be a difficult sort of journey, but there is a reason for it, and that I'm actually getting closer to the better things, especially because this is for romance. This is actually a good indication that there's a beautiful bright light ahead of where I'm going with this. Now, the freeze indicates that things kind of seem stagnant. They almost seem like they're frozen. They haven't really moved or changed. But based on the other cards, that could be because we're approaching winter. We're heading into a new season. And, you know, I guess water's got to freeze before spring can come and melt it again. So it could just be passing through seasons, so to speak. Next, we'll do career. Then we will read a bit of Neville Goddard before we discuss things, answer questions, and get into story time. So next is career. As I mentioned too, if you would like a reading, just comment gender, zodiac sign, and general future, romance, or career. All right. Oh, great Clow cards of Kurorido, using the power of the sun, the moon, and the stars. Reveal to me what message you have regarding my career situation at the moment. There is the embrace, the sword, the time, the Libra, and the voice. I always seem to get that voice card when it comes to my career, which it makes sense. Like I always get the song or the voice, and I guess those are two very crucial elements with what my career is. It's funny that I always draw that, and that's not intentional. I always shuffle these cards. I've even reorganized some of the cards to make sure that I'm not constantly drawing like the same shuffled pile either. And somehow that card or the song always pops up. It's very interesting. So, first we have the erase, we have the sword, we have the time, the Libra, and the voice. So, what these cards are indicating too, especially with the erase, I'm sensing like this is a time of like letting certain things go. Like things that I may have conceived a certain way in the past, it's better off just to erase those from my memory, not focus on them. Just kind of let them be free and let go of those. It could be talking about certain relationships that no longer serve me. It could be talking about memories, many things of that nature. So we also have the sword card, which says this is kind of like the time where it's fight or flight. And this is really probably why I got the fly card as well. That this is the time where there might be times when I should fly and other times when I really have to take a stand and fight for what's right. So there's a balance of that. Hence why we probably got the Libra card. It's all about finding balance. And the time is indicating that some crucial times, especially with the return card, times are approaching that are going to be very important. Now, the voice indicates that that is my strength because that is the primary thing I use with my career, that I really have to perhaps work on making that the best I can. Like perhaps singing more, using my voice to share these stories, focusing on that. There could be many aspects of what that's trying to tell me. And of course, if there is nobody else who would like a general reading, we will get into our reading material for the evening, Neville Goddard, and then we will get into our discussion and answer some questions. So tonight's chapter is from Freedom for All, which we were reading quite a bit of last season, and it is chapter 8 on faith. Very short chapter, too. And Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. This faith of a grain of mustard seed has proved a stumbling block to man. He has been taught to believe that a grain of mustard seed signifies a small degree of faith, so he naturally wonders why he, a mature man, should lack this insignificant measure of faith when so small an amount assures success. Faith, he is told, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And again, through faith, the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. Invisible things were made visible. The grain of mustard seed is not the measure of a small amount of faith. On the contrary, it is the absolute in faith. A mustard seed is conscious of only being a mustard seed, and a mustard seed alone. It is not aware of any other seed in the world. It is sealed in the conviction that it is a mustard seed, in the same manner that a spermatozoa sealed in the womb is conscious of being man and only man. A grain of mustard seed is truly the measure of faith necessary to accomplish your every objective. But like the mustard seed, you too must lose yourself in the consciousness of being only the thing desired. You abide within the sealed state until it bursts itself and reveals you your conscious claim. Faith is feeling or living in the consciousness of being the thing desired. Faith is the secret of creation. The vow in the divine name Jod He Vow He. Faith is the Ham in the family of Noah. Faith is the sense of feeling by which Isaac blessed and made real his son Jacob. By faith, God, your consciousness, calleth things that are not seen as though they were, and makes them seen. It is faith which enables you to become conscious of being the thing desired again. It is faith which seals you in this conscious state until your invisible claim ripens to maturity and expresses itself, is made visible. Faith or feeling is the secret of this appropriation. Through feeling, the consciousness desiring is joined to the thing desired. How would you feel if you were that which you desire to be? Wear the mood, this feeling that would be yours if you were already that which you desire to be. And in a little while, you will be sealed in the belief that you are. Then, without effort, this invisible state will objectify itself. The invisible will be made visible. If you had the faith of a grain of mustard seed, you would this day, through the magical substance of feeling, seal yourself in the consciousness of being that which you desire to be. In this mental stillness or tomb-like state, you would remain confident that you need no one to roll away the stone, for all the mountains, stones, and inhabitants of earth are nothing in your sight. That which you now recognize to be true of yourself, this present conscious state, brackets, will do according to its nature among all the inhabitants of earth, and none can stay its hand, or say unto it, What doest thou? None can stop this conscious state in which you are sealed from embodying itself, nor question its right to be. This conscious state, when properly sealed by faith, is a word of God, I am. For the man so seated is saying, I am so and so. And the word of God, brackets, my fixed conscious state, is spirit, and cannot return unto me void, but must accomplish whereunto it is sent. God's word, your conscious state, brackets, must embody itself, that you may know I am the Lord. There is no God beside me. The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and he sent his word and healed him. You too can send your word, God's word, and heal a friend. Is there something that you would like to hear of a friend? Define this something that you know he would love to be or to possess. Now, with your desire properly defined, you have a word of God. To send this word on its way, to speak this word into being, you simply do this. Sit quietly where you are and assume the mental attitude of listening. Recall your friend's voice, with this familiar voice established in your consciousness. Imagine that you are actually hearing his voice and that he is telling you that he is or has that which you wanted him to be or to have. Impress upon your consciousness the fact that you actually heard him and that he told you what you wanted to hear. Feel the thrill of having heard. Then drop it completely. This is the mystic secret of sending words into expression, of making the word flesh. You form within yourself the word, the thing you want to hear. Then you listen and tell it to yourself. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Your consciousness is the Lord speaking through the familiar voice of a friend and impressing on yourself that which you desire to hear. This self-impregnation, the state impressed upon yourself, the word, has ways and means of expressing itself of which no man knows. As you succeed in making the impression, you will be unmoved by appearances, for this self-impression is sealed as a grain of mustard seed and will in due season mature to its full expression. That concludes the chapter. So, very interesting. I actually did read that chapter before, but it was kind of nice to refresh that in my mind. So, that concludes the reading. Now, what I will actually do for the remainder of the time, first we will discuss one of the new CDs I got, planned for the future album projects, and answer a few questions before we get right into the nitty-gritty of the story. All right, so this song, which I recommend to all, check it out, especially if you like Japanese pop. It's really good. I could honestly say this is probably one of the best albums I've heard in a long time. It is Hitomi Shimatani's love song, My Song for You. It's got 11 tracks, all really good. It came out last year, and honestly, I could say it's one of the best albums I've heard in a long time, especially for like a full-length album. It's really solid. Like every song on it is great because it starts off with a song that she actually uses to sing at weddings along with the final track, Will You Marry Me? So she's kind of become like the Cupid singer at weddings over in Japan, which is really nice. Then it gets into Aris, which is based on like the idea of Alice in Wonderland. Very beautiful song. I love the music video. Then her cover of Miki Matsubara's Stay With Me, which is wonderfully done. I've shown other people it, and they all agree. He told me definitely adds a new spark to it, which is great. She does a duet with Micro, which is a really beautiful song. It's kind of got like a reggae vibe. I love it. Then she's got like an upbeat dancing club kind of song called Tokyo Girl, which is Hitomi and Me, which is really cool because it's like mean and me as like a duet, like a duo doing the song with her. Then she's got Ganbaro Ne, which is a really great song. Party Monster, which has like the funkiest, grooviest beat I've heard in so long. It's like that old school Tatsuro Yamashita. It's great. It's got that kind of vibe. She's got a few other songs which are really nice, slow kind of ballads. And then, like I said, she ends it with Will You Marry Me? But I definitely recommend, like, check the CD out. It's fantastic. I mean, I love every song she's ever made. I could go on and mention every song and every detail of every song, but that would take an entire hour in itself, especially for one album. So we'll leave it there as just a good summary of why to buy the album. Now, I'm slowly collecting all of her albums. I started with her very first. That was her last full-length released album. And I have several others on the way in the mail, which I got based on a free Amazon gift card worth $80. Which brings us to our next discussion. So I've been recording a lot of songs. I actually had a friend from out of town come stay with me for a week, and they came with me to the studio. I dropped another 2. Time Breaker was finally recorded, as well as another song called Kaichu Doke, Pocket Watch, English translation. And my friend Haruka-chan did the intro where she basically described my musical power level, kind of a reference to the original Solid State Scouter from the Bardock movie. which, speaking of the Bardock movie, also got that on DVD coming to me through the mail that I won in an auction. Can't wait to watch the whole movie. That movie's just great. It's fire. And yeah, based on like everything I've been recording lately, there'd probably be enough for 2 albums. So I decided I'm going to split it in two, 12 tracks each. One will be called Time Breaker, and then the other one will be called A Point to Prove. Now, I don't know exactly when I'm going to release both of these as of yet, but they'll both be coming out next year. And probably, if I had to guess, I'm most likely going to release A Point to Prove first, just because that one, all I have to really do is master the tracks I've recorded. Now, there's a few other things that have to be recorded for Time Breaker with some of the guests like Reiko, Lolita Dark, and Olga Chung, which are constant collaborators. They've always made some great songs. Definitely check out their work as well. So that's as far as the album plans. Now, as far as relationship stuff, this is why I mentioned the $80 Amazon gift card. I did actually go back for the first time on the couple's online speed dating platform. Now, what I will tell you about it is I was afraid to go back on it after my last experience. Plus, they started charging people for a while. The only reason I went to that event is because there was the gift card promised, which $80 free gift card was definitely worth it, right? And I was afraid to go back on because the last date that had actually matched with me as like a friend came to visit me and then forced herself upon me. This really annoying, crazy woman named Amy, which thank God I did not have to see her again. Wouldn't ever want to see that woman again or talk to her. Thank God she's like who knows where anymore. But yeah, and I didn't really have any luck. I mean, when I went that time, got the gift card, and then I went the time after, I ended up leaving early the last time because there wasn't anybody that's really my type. Like, I have a specific type of people that I want to go for, which is why I made my focus wheel on the door. Has all the qualities, and if you follow me on Facebook, I'm sure you know what they are. But yeah, I have a specific type that I'm aiming for. I didn't meet anybody like that. Didn't even really make good friends because nobody has the same common interest as me. I mean, I love Hitomi Shimatani records, and like I play old school retro games, and I love anime. And I spent most of my day, if we're being honest, listening to Ayumi Hamasaki and Chisato Moritaka, which the average Canadian wouldn't know what the hell I'm talking about. Which is funny because, people look at me like I come from Planet Namek when I start talking about that stuff. But then if I say it's like I come from Planet Namek, then they give me an even stranger look because they don't know where Planet Namek even is or what it is. So, as you could imagine, I'm sort of in a world or league of my own. It's kind of frustrating. So that's basically where I'm at in the journey. Now, I guess I'm frustrated because when I started studying Neville Goddard and Bob Proctor and Abraham Hicks, all these personal self development gurus near the start of the year, I could say I had more hopeful optimism. Like, I hope my life would get better. I mean, especially after the experience with Amy. I really just wanted my life to get better. I didn't want to be forced to be with people I don't want to be with anymore. I wanted to hopefully attract the right person, which is also why I quit smoking marijuana, quit biting my nails. I still struggle with the cigarettes. I'm not perfect. I've actually cut down on drinking as much. I was drinking once a month, sometimes twice for a while, but now not really as much. Didn't drink at all this month. Cigarettes, cigars, all that. Sometimes I've fallen back on it, but it's tough. And what I look at it as, I do it sometimes because I'm trying to keep myself from going back to marijuana. And whether you're smoking anything, it becomes addictive. You get into the habit of smoking to relieve tension and stress. And because I'm not seeing the results that I would want to see, that like I was promised that, oh, I would get anything I wanted and everything would work out perfectly for me and my life would get better. And because it didn't, it kind of, it takes away the motivation. Like, that's why people struggle with addictions. I realized it is a learning experience. I get it now. I'm like, this is why people struggle to quit, because they don't have something to motivate them enough to keep going. The tide gets rough, the going gets tough, and they're just like, they give up because you need something to constantly motivate you. Now, sometimes it might be that it's really having a bad impact on your health and you might die. Now, I could see that as a very good motivating factor. That's probably one of the easiest, best motivating factors to actually push you to stop doing it, because you're going to die. But when you're doing it because you want things to get better, because you hope, oh, I'm going to meet a certain type of person that I want that's going to be the love of my life, and you don't see it, it kind of feels like a kick in the balls. Like, what am I doing this for? When you don't see the results that were promised to you. And that's the disappointment wherein lies my journey this year, because I haven't gotten anything. The only things that I actually achieved of all the things I wanted to do were so simple that it's like, well, I paid for it with the one, which was he told me his autograph. The other was solving the mystery of Takako Mamiya, which, what was disappointing about that? I know what happened now. Now, there is that video on YouTube where they say whatever happened to her still and all that. And a lot of people don't know. But a Korean DJ actually did look into it, and he did speak with the CEO of Kitty Records about the album, which is now, got millions of views and it's a popular internet phenomenon. Apparently, Takako retired after making the album because it wasn't successful, got married, changed her name, and nobody knows where she is. So the mystery is sort of solved. But you know what the disappointment was? I wanted to be the one to solve it. So it's like I got what I want. I have the answer, but it didn't happen in the way I want. So it's just kind of a disappointment. I wanted to solve the mystery like Sherlock Holmes. And to get an answer like that, which it still suggests like nobody knows where she is now. It's just really depressing, to be honest. And it's like all the other goals didn't really happen either. And I like keep trying to tell myself, oh, it's all exist in the now in the spirit realm. But that's very hard to do when you're not happy. And I realize it's the withdrawal symptoms. The withdrawal symptoms depress you. And you know what else? I'm lonely. I don't really have a lot of friends to talk to. The friends I do have, they're married, busy working, or they just don't have anything in common with me. So it's very lonely. It's hard not to be in a negative vibration given that circumstance that I'm facing. So that's pretty much it. Now, as far as the overall backstory, as well as answering questions, I guess I'll just basically give the plot synopsis of how my music career started from when it started till now. And then I'll answer the few questions I get from fans before we conclude the broadcast for the evening. So, it all started when I was really young. I used to be able to know every song on the radio that came on. I could tell you who it was by, sing all the words. I just always had like a love for music. And as I grew up, I got into more and more types of music. I mean, I was raised around country and I heard like 90s pop as a kid because that's what was on the television and stuff. And then I got more into classic rock and then into jazz and then hip hop and reggae and Japanese pop from anime I watched. And, just more and more things kept sparking that interest within me. And I wanted to form a rock band when I lived in the town of Fort Erie, which is where I grew up. I was born in Welland, Ontario, Canada, but then I grew up in Fort Erie till I was about 11 or 12. I moved to Hamilton, which is where I currently am. And yeah, after I left, my friend from back in Fort Erie, he played guitar. We talked about wanting to make a band because he had got me into classic rock, and I thought, oh well, we both like Dracula movies, so we'd call ourselves Nosferatu 101. I actually started writing my first songs back then. The first one I ever wrote, I still remember part of it, It was called The Hunchback Who Liked Cheese, which the guitar player Lee gave me the idea for the title. It was going to be kind of like a classic rock sort of comedy band, right? So yeah, there was a hunchback who liked cheese. He eat it all night and day. He'd eat it till he puked and he'd eat it till he say, "Let's rock on today." Yeah, something like that, right? So that was like the first time I ever wrote lyrics, and it started from that. And then I started to write about, like, girls I had crushes on, simple things like that. And originally they were just like singing tunes. And I tried to make a band again by the time I got to high school, which we called ourselves Amnesty. We had found a singer, an acoustic guitar player. None of them were really dedicated and wanted to practice. So that's when I started getting into hip hop. And I was like, oh, well, all those rappers, they do their own thing. I should just be a rapper. And I'd even tried joining this one hip hop group called Black Rhymes, they were called. And actually, the leader of the group, Marius Kiss, he actually kicked me out eventually, saying, "We can't have a white guy in Black Rhymes. It doesn't make sense." So they kicked me out, right? Although apparently he told the other guy in the group, who ended up producing my debut album, Impulse, and he's working on Time Breaker, and he did a bit of work on Final Requiem and Mahjong Titan as well, Daybreak. Um, he said that Marius said I was too lyrical, and that was something they didn't really want in the group. But Daybreak actually encouraged the whole lyrical idea, especially when I started making my new album, because he said it lacks substance. It's just not really as good as it used to be without the whole lyrical quality, which I agree. That's why over the years, as I got better and better and better at rapping, I constantly tried to get better with my lyrics, like sharpen my skills, not only my freestyling abilities, which, especially because I used to smoke weed and cigarettes back in high school, I would kick a freestyle, rap a little bit, get free smokes, get a toke for some of the homies who had tree. It was good times, right? It was fun. It's like I used my music as currency. And then I would record on a laptop with one of those crappy ghetto MSN mics, just songs using Fruity Loops or whatever beats I could get off the internet, and make my own remixes. Have like 20 songs on a CD, sell them for $5 around school, and then I was making money. It was kind of nice. I enjoyed that. Like, I liked that part. It was fun. I was a hustler, right? Marketing my music. So that's where the dream really started. And by the end of high school, I had actually done over 20 little different mixtapes of like 20 songs each. So I could tell you some of them. Well, the very first one was Hamilton's Most Wanted. That was the first one. Which I was doing drama class. We actually did the games Church for Thugs, where we had to lip sync it and make it like a music video. So we all dressed up like gangsters with drugs, and it was funny. And then the picture from that is what I used for the cover. And then I did 12 Gauge Reloaded, which I started to talk about how Black Rhymes kicked me out. I was frustrated by that. Then I did the Aftermath, Desert Colossus, which got a lot of praise. People really liked that one. I remember my buddy Rich BMC used to love Desert Colossus. And then I did the End, Cheers. Then I was hanging out with this one kid named Buddha. We'd have good times. We'd smoke some weed, watch some crazy movies, get inspiration for songs. And we made the James Woods Volume 1, which was great. And then I went to summer school, did James Woods Volume 2, got hit by a car, survived it. Then I made Why I Could Possibly Die This Very Moment, which was another mixtape. And that was because I had started learning about the Illuminati, and I was kind of paranoid. Oh, maybe they set me up and all this. But of course, I don't really believe that now. But that's, the state of mind at the time. And then because I was still single, friends kept coming and going. I did All I Got Is Me, Resurrected from Pet Cemetery, The Reincarnation of Chris McKee, which that was actually my favorite mixtape of all the mixtapes. I mean, I made songs with other people, and that was the bridge of that. Plus, All I Got Is Me is when the alter egos started appearing, like Balad the Impaler, Little Buckingham, Denine. And from there, it just kind of evolved, right? But yeah, on the reincarnation of Chris McKee, I did songs with Little Bimboy or Captain Hook, my Jamaican friend named Kevin. We did Don't Give Me Lip, Who Got the Good Weed. I did a song with this singer from Sir John A named Kathy Mello. Always Been Hustling, which I had ended up using the chorus for King of Hamilton. And then Who Got the Good Weed, obviously that made it onto Nail Gun as well. With Honeybee Sweet replacing Bimboy or Captain Hook. And then I also did songs with three female friends. One was this French-Japanese woman named Anna that I really had a crush on, Anna Tournay. And we did Go Ahead and Hate, which was a beautiful song. I really wish I could find that mixtape more than any. Like, if anybody has that, lend it to me so I can listen to the songs. I missed that one. And then my friend Deanne, she was a Filipino girl. She did the intro, which became the first track, Who's Crying Now, based on the Journey song. And then I also did a song with this girl I like named Maria that almost ended up dating me, but then she ended up liking this Steven guy from California, or so that was her excuse. But we made a sick rapping song together. I showed her some good old school hip hop. And yeah, it was funny. Good times, right? Like I said, if anybody has the reincarnation of Chris McKee, lend that shit to me. I'd love to hear it again. It's been so many years. I don't even have a copy of it because it was on a computer and that computer crashed. I don't have it anymore. So there's actually a lot of those mixtapes are out there floating that I have no access to, no idea where they are now. If anybody still has them, it would just be great. So let me know. But yeah, so okay, that was 12. And then I did For My Real Homies and My Real G's, I did which Ridge BMC started doing some death metal vocals to. We did Scary Stories, which was a great one. People started coming by at lunch and they would just rap on songs. It was great. That's what I had drama class with Hugo too. And then I did the very first hip hop Christmas album in my catalog because people kept saying, you need to make a Christmas album. So it had songs like Frosty the Dope Man and A Fat Bag of Christmas Trees and Santa Slays. So, plays on like rap, but like Christmassy themed, right? People apparently loved it. The album was called A Fat Bag of Christmas Trees on Christmas Eve, which had a very iconic cover everybody used to love because it was this very funny picture of me dressed up in this weird looking, like almost like a Santa Claus outfit, but not quite. Like Santa Claus was dressing up on Halloween kind of thing. It was very funny though. But then, yeah, and then after that, I did James Woods Volume 3. Then My Recovery Process, Street Struggle. Let's see, I'm trying to remember all the different ones. And then, 2012, which was the first double album I did. I had lots of people making songs with me at that point. Jesse James, LG, Puzio. It was great, man. Little P was also called. We recorded songs like House of Slaughter, House of Greed, Weatherman, Salute Robbery. Oh, those are good times, man. If any of them were watching, they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like the nostalgia just kills me to think I had like accomplished so much before I'd even fully graduated high school and made any professional albums, right? So yeah, and then after 2012, which was the double album, 20 songs on one, 12 on the other. It was so funny because my friend Hugo was on a song, and I remember this experience. This is a great story. He was really hungry because we were smoking weed. He had the munchies or whatever, and he's like, make me a sandwich, 12 gauge. And I said, okay, I'll make you a sandwich, but you've got to rap on this song. I'll write you some lyrics. You got to rap on it. He's like, oh, come on, man. Do I have to? I can't rap. I'm not good at it. I'm like, just do it, man. I'll make you that sandwich. You want that sandwich? You got to rap. He's like, oh, okay. So it's so funny because the verse starts out and he's like, I'm so hungry I could crawl. I got to rap to eat, but I can't rap at all. Like, it was so funny. It was about his story, right? And oh, man, there were some good times, man. 2012 was a great one because that was around the time I had well, I had my first girlfriend, my second one, but both were long distances. Nothing actually happened between us. And then I did lunchtime sessions, volume 1, 2, and 3. And then I did some Tales from the Hood, which was 24 mixtapes in total. And then I started going to this Studio 3. I did songs with Sarah McNeil, a few people who were around that point. Started working on the EP, 12 rated PG, which was good. It was professional more so than the mixtapes, but still not the greatest, like not fully mixed or mastered the greatest. But that's some good songs nonetheless. And then I started making the Baptism of CRM, which was a double album, and that was the most professionally produced album at that point. That was when I became Seventh-day Adventist after breaking up with the girl who lost my virginity, had some bad experiences with women, ended up in the Seventh-day Adventist church, which eventually turned their backs on me after Sakai left. We went to Ottawa. There were some good times, though. I learned about the Boogie Monsters. It was fun. But then they encouraged me to make this album and use my gift for God. And then as soon as I made it, I was like trying to sell it and market it. And then they're like, oh, you can't mix worldliness with gospel. And then they totally turned their back on me. But I mean, there were some great songs on it. That actually still is on YouTube out there. If you look up Christopher McKee, Seventh-day Adventist, you'll find it. But yeah, like I had songs with my pastor, Betcha Church Cat, which was a groove. Songs with Odelma Peters, which was a really good friend of mine. A girl went to church who was around my age. Ended up marrying this really nice guy named Marcin. Yeah, she did Take Me to Heaven Now. She did vocals on Just Have Faith and You're My Best Friend remix with Little Buckingham. And then, yeah, Rich Green also did backup vocals on Just Have Faith. And he also rapped on Lord, This Will Make a Real Good Song. So, yeah, and of course, Denine, Vlad the Impaler, and Killer Mo, who became Kita L later on. He was on the track Last Days. All three of them were on that with me. That was a great song. So, yeah, that album was just jam-packed with some, like, for gospel rap, it was like the big pun of gospel rap. It was just amazing stuff. So after that, I started talking to this person I thought was real named Tina, who ended up scamming me for over $800. And I made a series of mixtapes again, like the old style way on my phone, called the Tina McKee LPs. I did a bunch of songs here and there that never saw the light of day, trying to make a professional debut. Things kept happening. I ended up dating this girl named Rahima. Things didn't go well. Made some songs there, which exist on that channel I mentioned earlier, the Chris McKee Seventh-day Adventist. Did songs with Cormega. Did a remix with Pawn. There was a whole bunch of great things that happened that just never saw the light of day. And then eventually, I started actually recording what would be Impulse, the debut album. That was 2018. I had met Ayane. Right after recording the first couple songs, I was in the hospital after Rahima attacked me, cut my arm with a knife. I was like, oh, when you get like this, you make me want to kill myself. She tells the cops that. They haul me off to the hospital. Didn't even, do anything to her for cutting my arm, which was crazy, right? I don't know who that is. In fact, I don't really see what this has anything to do with what I'm discussing, to be fair. I'm sorry. I hope you get an answer for your question. I don't know the answer, one. And two, this doesn't really have anything to do with the Super Kami Guru Alucard, moi, as an artist, or my journey, or any other questions people might have. No offense. I hope you do find out what happened to this Ruth Rogers, because I don't know. I don't even know who that is. So it's okay. I don't know, though. Not going to give an answer in case it's the wrong one. Anyways, as I was saying, I started recording Impulse. Then Ayane broke up with me. That was very heartbreaking. Almost died. Barely managed to survive. Discovered Hitomi Shimatani's music, which that's why I always say she's my Angela Sue on many songs throughout the debut album Impulse, because she kind of lit a fire in my heart and inspired me to keep going despite all the turmoil that was going on in my life at the time, right? So it was a pretty emotional journey to make that first album. And then I met Haruna near the end of it. We had a relationship that was almost 2 years. It was great. I was happy. She was married, but I accepted it for what it was. She was happy with me. I was happy with her. And then eventually she broke up, which I blame partly on the age difference, the fact that her husband killed himself and she wanted to marry somebody who could help support her 2 children, and the fact that I was dependent on marijuana. So, which no longer the case. I've quit, which would be a year, January 8th. So making good progress in that regard. So yeah, that was the story of that. But after Impulse, because that came out September 12th, 2019, I started a deal with the people at my high school, Cathedral High School, especially the tech department teacher, Mr. McMillan. And we ended up recording almost 3 albums, 2 fully pretty much there, and then like a part of a third, which I ended up finishing myself and then going back to Daybreak Studio. Those became Nail Gun, Mahjong Titan, and Final Requiem. Then from there, I started just doing everything on my own for a good while. Started the jazz band, the S.O.S Brigade Quartet with my neighbors, and one of the guys from the hospital, and a co-producer that I had actually worked with on Mahjong Titan, as well as Nail Gun a bit and Final Requiem. So that led to that, which was great. So that began the 5 albums that we made, not including High Standards, which was a live tribute album to some of our favorite jazz tunes. But we did A History Lesson, Straight Out of the Archives, In Search of Harmonic Discoveries, Music and Life Lessons, and the 5th is dropping this November 25th, Time for an Exam. So check out for that, the S.O.S Brigade Quartet. That'll drop there. As of now, I have not spoken with the neighbors about us recording another album. We did talk about it a bit, but then we haven't really been in touch, and they don't seem that interested. And if I'm not mistaken, they're actually leaving and moving next month. So unfortunately, that'll probably be the end of the S.O.S Brigade Quartet, unless we get some new members. Now, as for me, all the while doing these albums with the band, I've been recording prolifically. I did my 5th album, My Unique Valentine, which was dedicated to a girl I liked named Shannon, who didn't like me back. The part 2 of that, Expressions of One's Heart. Then I did Parallel Reality, Volume 1, Parallel Reality, Volume 2, and a big bounce to The Ideal Reality. So that came out September. And as of now, the only thing in store to be released is, as I said, Time for an Exam, the S.O.S Brigade Quartet's 5th and final album. And then I am working on Time Breaker and A Point to Prove, which will be the next 2 albums due to be released next year. So I think that concludes it. Now, I do remember there was a few people who asked me some questions. So I'm going to grab my phone just to see what they were and to answer them. Okay. First question. Do you speak Japanese fluently? Fairly well. I would say I actually know it well enough to converse. I do study it every day to improve, and I'm constantly getting better. But I mean, that's why with the new album, Time Breaker, I actually wrote songs for the first time fully in Japanese. And I've been experimenting with Japanese since my very first album, Impulse. In fact, when I was a kid, I used to watch anime and I would sing along with the songs that were the theme songs that were in Japanese. And then I would go and look up the lyrics to know the full song. People thought it was weird that I was walking around singing Japanese, but I always have loved those songs. Okay, where would you want to go most out of everywhere in the world? Well, if I was going to answer that question, I'd say five places. So, Japan, France, Scotland, Romania, and Norway. All for different reasons. Japan's definitely number one. I want to go all over Japan too. And then um France, because I want to direct a movie that I wrote a script for about the life of Eric Satie, the famous French classical composer, called Gymnopédie. Romania, because I actually have Romanian ancestry. I found out a year or two ago, and I'm fascinated with the culture there. I speak a bit of it, and I love the idea of Dracula's history. So Norway, because it's a very beautiful country. It looks really cool. Like, just that's one I just really want to go to. And then Scotland, because my mom is Scottish, both my grandparents were Scottish. I can do the accent very good, actually. I used to love playing around with that accent. And then it's just a really cool place. I mean, they got the Loch Ness monster. I like the food there. Just a lot of great things about why I want to go to Scotland. So yeah, that's the five places. Oh, there were actually we have time for three more questions, hopefully. What is your favorite Japanese artist or album? Okay, so favorite artist would definitely be Hitomi Shimatani. Favorite album, um, I'd actually say, just as far as an album, like one specific record, I am actually going to go with Takako Mamiya's Love Trip. That album, like, even though I've solved the mystery, I can listen to that album all day on repeat. It's just beautiful. Every song, start to finish, is just absolutely amazing. Great instrumentalist, great sound engineering. To Takako's voice with the poetic, mysterious lyrics, just phenomenal. All right. What is your favorite food or foods? Okay. Well, I would say I really like mince, which is like hamburger stew. I like pizza, tacos, hamburgers, and I really like crab roll sushi and like miso soup. So yeah, that's quite a few, but yeah, those are definitely like my top favorites. So okay, and then the last question, we'll do one more before we end it. How many relationships have you had or women have you been with? Well, relationships, only four. Women I've been with, that's a whole nother number. I would say that actually gets to the point about 25. I'm not going to go into detail with all of those, who they are, why they are, but yeah, needless to say, 25 in total, which not really proud of it. Wish I had just gotten married and stayed with one woman, but that's how life is. But overall, I'd say there were four relationships where I was intimate with, where I actually did stuff with the woman. And then I'd say there was two relationships that nothing really happened. It was just we dated in high school kind of thing, but never really led to much. I kissed the first one when I went out to Albany, New York to meet them and their family. The other one lived in Brantford. I never actually went out there. I was supposed to. They kind of bailed on me. They bailed on even going to my prom with me as my date, which sucked. But yeah, so nothing really, too much with that. But I guess overall, I guess six relationships, but four that were actually serious and lasted any amount of time. First one lasted about 4 years on and off. Second was about 3 years roughly, probably closer to 2.5. And then the third was about 6 months, which actually was one of the most special relationships. Wish it didn't end, but Ayane broke my heart bad with that one. And then the other one was almost 2.5. I'd say probably around 2, a little over 2, and that was my last relationship. And I have been single ever since. So hopefully that answers everybody's questions. Hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation. And be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, where we will do another live Clow card readings for the season, with this being like sort of like the pilot of the new season, double length special feature. So till next time, I'm your host, Super Kami Guru Alucard. Hope you enjoyed watching this. Domo arigato gozaimasu minasan. Oyasumi nasai. Matane. Super Kami Guru Alucard. Peace out.